Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Pochettino in charge. Not even too fussed about that, to be honest. I think it's a good move for us. At the worst, it'll be a transitional manager if he can't take us to league titles and all of that. But he's a manager who made Spurs the most intimidating for me. I think he does well with younger players, which suits a lot of what we're trying to do with this Vision 2030 and everything. I think he'll give us patterns of play. I think he can tactically play within a 3 or a 4 as well. I've got no real issues with this. My only real problem is like low blocks, because I've seen he struggled with that at Tottenham. I saw he struggled with that at PSG as well. But we've had managers that have struggled with that for years. I don't think that makes too much of a difference. It's about actually being able to coach these players, get the best out of them. And I do think Pochettino is a manager that can get that out of our players. So I'm fine with it.
That's a good point to be made, that he can play with the 3 or the 4 at the back. Do you know what I'm saying? He's an adaptable manager, and that's what you need right now, because he's going to come in and more often than not, he's going to be playing with players that are not his own, because he's not going to get the freedom to recruit the players he wants. So he's going to have to work within that kind of restriction, but he's done it before. And yeah, bruv, with the younger players, especially from the players that I've spoken to that have been coached by him, like, his man management is like top class, bro. Every time he leaves a club, like, the players are never happy to see him leave. Do you know what I mean? So I think it could be good. I think it could be good for you, though.
Same, man. I'm looking forward to it. Like, compared to some of the other options that we had, these men were talking about Vincent Company last week. There was a guy from Celtic who apparently is doing a really good job there, but I just don't know enough about him to have a judgment on him. Pochettino's got Premier League experience. He's got experience at the top level of the Premier League too. Granted, he hasn't won the league title. Fair enough. I understand that. But I put a lot of that down to just Tottenham in general and just the nature of that club. It's not about winning the league over there. It's about getting into the top 4, getting that Champions League money. And Pochettino can push further than that, in my opinion. If he can't, fair enough. But I think he's going to leave us with a better squad as well. Because the difference between us and Spurs is he will actually have financial backing. Back at Spurs, he was going through summer windows where they didn't even sign an outfield player. That's not going to happen with us. Everything he needs, he's going to get that given to him. If anything, it's better that he doesn't even start now and he starts at the end of the season, because it gives him a time to just look through the squad, just figure out who he wants to keep, who he wants to leave, takes away some of the pressure from him, because I still think whatever manager we're bringing in, they're losing most, if not all, of the games that we have coming up till the end of the season. Our run-in just isn't good enough. It's not what you would want a manager to walk into a job with, especially with the squad that we have too. It's too much of a mess. So for me, just oversee Chelsea until the end of the season, figure out what you want to do in the summer. You're in a good position as well, because you got 1 game a week next season. We're not even touching top 7, let alone top 4 or anything like that. I think next season would be a decent... I think everything's kind of looking like it's flowing into place.
But 100%.
Like that.
I think if you're Pochettino now, you keep an eye on Chelsea. You don't take the job now. You're in and around the training ground intermittently, but not really. Do you know what I mean? I'll watch the games from the stands, get to kind of see who's training well, who's not, see who the leaders are in the dressing room, see the personalities, see who you might want to keep. Do you know what I mean? So when pre-season comes, you've already got a plan in place about what needs to be done, bruv. Do you know what I mean? And it's going to be interesting. And someone said, like, would you reckon Lukaku, do you reckon that he would like him? Do you reckon he might keep him?
See, I've seen this pop up today and everyone's like panicking. I don't blame them, because Lukaku is just so much PTSD from the last 18 months of him trying to force a move. Ever since the interview in December, Lukaku was trying to talk to directors, the Inter manager at the time, former players, current players, trying to do everything he can to get that return. For me, I don't want him back. I'd rather us just go and get a younger player that we could try and focus on for the next 7 to 8 years. But we got to be realistic, and we also need to take like our own emotion out of the situation as well. Fact is, if Pochettino wants him and he wants to try and make it work, we can't say anything. How many times have we said that we want the manager to have full control? We want the manager to decisions that he wants to make. If those decisions are to bring in Lukaku because he wants to make it work, and Lukaku wants to make it work as well, that's also a very key part of it too.
Yeah.
You got to let it happen. As much as you'd hate it, I'd hate it as well. 99% of Chelsea fans would hate seeing him back. If Pochettino wants to make it work, if there's no other options on the table, you got to give it a run out for at least a year. But those variables need to be checked out first. Inter first, if they can't take him for another year, which I could see happening because of the money situation that they're in and the fact they're already paying half of his wages outright anyway.
Yeah.
Pochettino has to want him back, and Lukaku has to want to return, and also probably has to apologize to Chelsea fans as well. Because we're not hearing that BS PR apology that you had to do 3 days after the interview came out, and not hearing any of that. Has to be genuine from him. Because I think that's the only way he's going to endear himself to Chelsea fans. Either that or if he just starts banging goals. But it's going to be a tough start for him, in my opinion, if he doesn't do that. But it's all speculative anyway. He might not even join us. We could go and get Tony or try and push for Osimhen. We might not even get a striker, even though I do think we are going to get one. But Lukaku, that one would be a surprise for me. It would be a bit of a surprise. Because I feel like he'd want someone a bit more technically sound than him.
And not just that, I don't think Lukaku's ego will allow him to come back to Chelsea humbly after the shit that he was talking when he left. I feel like he's kind of burnt the bridges at the football club. I don't even know if the fans would accept him back, even if he wanted to come back, because he was moving booky, bruv, when he went back to Inter Milan.
Goals. You have to get hella goals. Goals if you want to turn things around. It's one of those.
And even then, you need time to score loads of goals. Like, he would get cooked, and like he would have to earn the trust of the Chelsea fans again. I don't
every
think
dodgy touch, you just hear groans from
100%.
All four stands of the bridge.
Yep.
But he's walked into that situation for himself. Like, who else is taking him? We would loan him or sell him out to anybody that would take him if Inter would. But I don't know who would. On the money that he's on, with the attitude problems and everything, the only way he probably turns things around in terms of his career is if he comes back to Chelsea and rights his wrongs. So he's going to have to do it. Like, he was able to sit down and apologize for the interview the first time, even if you could debate whether he meant it or not. I think if you could do it once, you can do it again.
Facts.
So that's up to him. The ball's in his court. I still would rather us look for another number 9 personally, but I understand looking at all options. If Inter don't want to take him, if no other club wants to take him, we're going to have to do something with him.
No, facts.
As much as I'd say I'd like us to just cut the contract off, I don't think it's that realistic of us to do that with the amount of money that we'd have to give him if we're going to do that. So, I don't know. I feel like if we can't loan him, he's going to have to find a way to turn things around. That's on his ass. You have to figure that out. You're the one that got yourself in this situation. You got to get yourself out. But if Pochettino's offering you a lifeline, you've made some dumb decisions, but don't make another dumb decision. Take it with both hands.